Although cruises promise unforgettable vacations and luxurious travel, sometimes the elements of the sea can turn them into a real challenge. In this video, we take a look at 5 impressive cases of liners facing extreme situations in open waters. These stories demonstrate how unpredictable the ocean can be and how quickly an idyllic voyage can turn into a fight for survival. From violent storms to unexpected technical breakdowns, each of these incidents illustrates the challenges passengers and crew can face during a voyage. Anthem of the Seas. On February 7, 2016, the cruise ship Anthem of the Seas was caught in a violent storm off the coast of South Carolina. The ship battled huge waves and hurricane-force winds for several hours, leaning as much as 45 degrees off the vertical. The liner, en route from New Jersey to Florida and the Bahamas, encountered extreme weather conditions that had not been anticipated when the route was planned. At about 3 a.m., passengers were told not to leave their staterooms because furniture was falling in public areas. Royal Caribbean reported 4 casualties with minor injuries. It also stated that the damage to public areas and staterooms did not affect the seaworthiness of the ship in any way. Nevertheless, eyewitnesses reported falling ceilings, broken windows, and panicked passengers. Social media was flooded with photos and videos from inside the ship showing the extent of the destruction. Everything in the kitchen was upside down, and in the cabins, passengers watched in fear as the storm raged outside the window. One of the passengers, who had been on more than 20 cruises, admitted that she had never experienced such conditions. "It was the scariest moment of my life, being trapped in a hurricane for a few hours with a baby on board," she said on Facebook. Many passengers expressed outrage at Royal Caribbean's decision to continue on its planned course despite the obvious danger. Australian Pacific Sun. Stunning footage of the P&O liner caught in a powerful storm that injured 42 people was published online in 2010. The cruise ship Australian Pacific Sun was about 640 kilometers off the coast of New Zealand when the huge waves hit the liner, causing it to roll violently. As the ship battled the elements on the high seas, crew members and passengers flew back and forth in a vain attempt to grab onto anything anchored. The waves were so high that they reached the 5th deck. Staff could be seen trying to grab onto their workstations and computers before more powerful waves hit the ship. Soon, both they and the guests were sliding helplessly across the floor like rag dolls, having completely lost control of the situation. The Australian Pacific Sun was returning from an 8-day cruise to the Vanuatu Islands when the storm hit. Passengers gathered for dinner just after dark, and one described what happened as a scene out of a disaster movie: tables, chairs, and people moving haphazardly from side to side. Many were injured by sliding furniture and collisions with columns. P&O offered passengers a 25% discount on their next voyage, but after this experience, one would think that everyone would prefer to stay on solid ground. Carnival Spirit. 2,500 passengers were trapped on a ship hit by 12-meter waves during a storm in Sydney. A dream vacation turned into a nightmarish adventure for 2,500 passengers stranded on the Carnival Spirit liner near Sydney Harbour on April 20, 2015. Those on board were at the mercy of raging seas as storms battered the east coast. They endured the pounding of waves up to 12 meters high as they crashed over the ship. The huge wave, captured on video by the stranded travelers, showed how harsh and grueling the conditions were. One of the passengers on board told the Daily Telegraph that a huge wave hit on the evening of April 20th, blowing off one of the doors and flooding the deck with huge amounts of water. Another passenger said, "The night was just horrible. In the cabin, all the cupboard doors flew open and all the things that were on the surfaces flew apart." A crew member who has worked on a cruise ship for 10 years admitted that this was the worst storm he had ever seen. A Sydney Harbour pilot boarded a cruise ship to guide it into port after a severe storm hit the New South Wales coast, but conditions prevented the ship from entering the harbour. The ship was not allowed to dock until 2 days later, on April 22, 2015. Pacific Aria. In 2017, the cruise ship Pacific Aria encountered a severe storm. Passengers captured video of the moment when huge torrents of water entered the ship, flooding the interior stairways. Passengers were reportedly not warned of the impending danger, as water began to fill the ship's stairwells and corridors. P&O officials said there was no immediate danger to passengers, attributing the internal flooding to heavy rains caused by a tropical storm. However, the situation later worsened as the 7-day cruise from Brisbane to New Caledonia and Vanuatu turned into a nightmare. The trip, which began on May 5, 2017, was quickly complicated by an impending cyclone. By May 6, the cyclone had intensified to a Category 4, and on May 8, it reached its maximum strength of Category 5. Cyclone Donna, as it was named, became the strongest tropical storm ever recorded in the South Pacific. Passengers expecting a relaxing vacation were caught in the middle of the elements. A class action lawsuit was subsequently filed, calling the voyage the cruise from hell. It was argued that passengers should have been given the opportunity to cancel the trip due to the impending hurricane. Bahamas celebration. A Halloween horror cruise turned into a nightmare when the ship ran aground and began rocking violently, forcing nearly 1,000 costumed passengers to evacuate. A holiday cruise to the Bahamas was returning to Palm Beach, Florida, in November 2014, when passengers reported hearing a loud pop and feeling the 180-foot ship shake before it lost power. More than 960 passengers had planned to attend a costume contest and zombie party, but instead were forced to wait for hours in the dark without food or water before being evacuated. "It was like a real-life Halloween horror cruise," said passenger Daniel Fana. Passengers initially thought it was a Halloween prank, but when they were told to put on life jackets and prepare to evacuate, many began to panic. As people left their cabins, the entire ship was plunged into darkness. Panic set in among the passengers. A few hours after the first alarm was sounded, the passengers were safely off the ship and into temporary shelters. The liner ran aground 180 yards off Freeport Harbor, and salvage crews assessed the damage caused by a small breach in the hull of the ship. James Varillo, owner of the Bahamas Celebration Cruise Line, reported that the small hole in the ship's hull had been repaired and that the liner was not in danger of sinking. These cases illustrate how unpredictable and dangerous ocean travel can be. Despite modern technology and safety measures, the natural elements are still capable of creating extreme situations aboard cruise ships. These stories serve as an important reminder to both passengers and cruise lines to take safety at sea seriously. They underscore the importance of careful itinerary planning, constant monitoring of weather conditions, and readiness to respond quickly in the event of an emergency. While these incidents are rare, they show that even the most luxurious cruise can become a major challenge overnight. If you choose to travel by sea, be aware of the risks and be prepared for the unexpected.